welcome again to another episode of our show, Diaspora Life Show. Today we're going to talk about entertainment, and one of the things that we really want to discuss today is how come Kenyan promoters based here in the US don't seem to really appreciate the talent that is within the diaspora, to the extent that, for any little thing, very soon we're going to have Las Vegas. And if you look at the lineup of people who are coming to entertain the Kenyans in the diaspora, most of them are Kenyan artists. The diaspora have imported Kenyans from Kenya to come and entertain them here. The question then becomes, is it that we don't have our own talent, or is it that we don't appreciate our own talent? And to speak about this topic is none other than Master G, George. George is a promoter, is an entertainer based in Baltimore in Maryland. He's done these things. He's hosted, among other things, the South Soul in 2015, and many other artists that come to America from Africa and also the Caribbean. G, please introduce yourself to our viewers and just give us a brief background about yourself.
Thanks for having me on the show, Chris, after a long time. Appreciate that. First name George, last name Gichobi, George Gichobi, and they call me Master G, a.k.a. Master G. So I guess G comes from my first and last name. Promoter, producer, based in Baltimore. We've done a lot of shows. I think I'm one of the culprits he's talking about as a promoter. We've featured a lot of artists from Nameless. I think that's the first artist we brought out here in the States. Jua Kali, Nonini, DNA, and of course, like you mentioned, Sauti Soul. So the question is valid, why we're getting all these Kenyan artists coming to perform in the diaspora. I guess we're going to delve into it a little bit more.
Yeah, in fact, let's just get right into it, George. First, do you think we have talent within the diaspora? Do you, at the top of your head, can you mention a few people living in America, a few Kenyans living in America, that you think are very good entertainers, good artists, so to speak?
Artist-wise, I know Daddy V in Texas. He's good. In New Jersey, K4, I think it is. And there's a whole bunch of gospel artists, but that's another genre. I'm more into hip hop, reggae, dancehall, R&B, and of course, Kenyan music, genge, gengeton now, and so off the top of my head, I have a problem. I have a really hard time coming up with artists that are based here that can do better, and that's probably one of the reasons why we don't feature a lot of artists here. Because if me as a promoter, I can't, put my finger or pinpoint a certain artist, then it'll be hard for me to sell it to other Kenyans or that audience. So I think the problem lies in mostly developing these artists and marketing these artists. So it would fall on the artists themselves, obviously, us as promoters, but I think it will have to be a more collaborative effort.
One thing I can tell you, at least for me, I know we have Susan, remember Susan, the former Susan Oyugi, the former. I think she was in a group that was Susan with Susan Matiba. She's now based here. We have people like my generation, and that is Hearthstone. Hearthstone is here. We even have the so-called the twin brothers from the Longomba brothers. But for me, my best diaspora artists are, one is Miriam Chemos, and also Naomi Washira. She's those two ladies are just fantastic. They're the best. In fact, one of the things that I always tell them is that it would be different if they were back in Kenya, because I guess, again, like we always say, in America, because of the schedules and also the what you can say, the medium of exposure, that's a big problem. But again, like you say, most of us, the Kenyans especially, we live here like we never left. But basically, for you, what goes into identifying an artist that you invite to come and entertain Kenyans here?
Are you talking about from Kenya or from
Kenya,
here?
yes, yeah.
Oh, it takes a lot, and I'm glad you mentioned Hardstone. Actually, Hardstone will be in Baltimore next week for radio interview. He's just released his new album. As much as he's a Kenyan artist, he's developed his own audience here in America, such that he can do without the Kenyan artist, without the Kenyan audience. So I support Hardstone in whatever he does, whatever music he does, anywhere I can in marketing him. But since earlier on in his career, obviously when he moved to the States, people, just out of curiosity, they wanted to say, oh, what's Hardstone up to, or what's Hardstone up to? They came out in large numbers. But of late, after the years have passed by and a lot of other new artists have come by, they don't come out as much. But one thing I can say is Hardstone has been grinding. Hardstone has been putting in a lot of work. I think he's on his 5th album now. I want to say the 5th one. It could be the 6th. So he's developed his own American audience, Caribbean audience, and obviously the few Kenyans that are here. So thank you for that. And all he has to do is pick up the phone and tell me, gee, I need a show, and I'll help him. With other artists, is a little bit more challenging, but I can never say never. Marcy Myra, she's in Atlanta, I think. Very good artist when she was back home, but as soon as she got here, not a lot of music going on. But what?
Because one of the argument has been. The argument has been that, and I've spoken to this artist, that you see, you guys, you promoters, best abroad, don't appreciate them. You invite them, but you want them to be curtain raisers for some junior and nondescript artists from Kenya. So that's one of the things that has been frustrating them, because you don't really, as promoters based here in the US, you don't appreciate their talent. You don't pay them their due, and if you're not paying them their equal worth, then how are they going to develop in their talent? How can they live on their art here in the US if you people, Kenyan promoters, don't really appreciate them?
Yeah. First of all, obviously, we have to give them a platform. And this platform is the only way to get on board where there's a lot of Kenyans gathering, is like the Rugby Sevens you've just mentioned. So that is a platform where we can feature this, I guess we can call them local artists since they're here, as opposed to international artists from Kenya. So what I think is, it's a very fluid situation, like with the case of Jabali Africa. Jabali is, obviously they started from Kenya. And a little side note, Jabali, when they were coming up, they used to perform at, National Theatre. They were at the National Theatre when they started with their traditional music. And we were going for a talent show in Carnival. And we had a song, I want to remember the name, but we had a song and we needed traditional music to back it up. And it was a hip-hop kienyeji. It was a hip-hop song, but we wanted to use traditional instruments. So we asked Jabali, we have a talent show at the Carnival, please come and help us. So Jabali were happy to help us. We went to Carnival with the drums and the congas and everything. And then after that, we didn't win. We were like second or third. But after that, the organizers recognized the talent of Jabali, and from there on out, they came for the next competition after that, and they won, and that's how they blew up, and that's how even they ended up in America. So the fluidity, it's a global village. So artists would be here, or artists would be in America. I guess it's what the individual artist is doing, because Jabali right now, they went back, I think at least one of them went back, Justo, and he's doing very good in Kenya. He opened a music club, producing local artists, producing his own music, and the music reaches back and forth. We can get it here, and they can get it in Kenya. He can come and perform here, and he can perform in Kenya. So I think we have to get out of the mindset of I'm a diaspora artist, so I have to perform in diaspora and be recognized in diaspora, or I'm a Kenyan artist, I have to perform in Kenya.
Are you ready for the standard digital videos? Diaspora Life Show 20 States Tour will be live on the 6th of June in Newark, Delaware. On the 13th of June, we'll be live in Allentown, Pennsylvania. On the 20th of June, we'll be live in New Haven, Connecticut. On the 27th of June, we'll be live in Baltimore, Maryland. And on the 4th of July, we'll be Raleigh, North Carolina. So gear up, more info on Standard Digital Videos platforms.
Just following up on that, you started your gig in Kenya. Most of you started in Kenya. You came here. And over time, we've seen that artists who are doing so well in Kenya, when they come here, for some reasons, they just never pick up. They just get into the daily grind. It's not unheard of to find an artist who was doing very well in Kenya, working for Manokis here in the US, or they've just gone underground. They've been involved in drugs and alcohol abuse, and now they just don't make sense. Why do you think that is the case? Why is it that when people who are doing so well in Kenya, when they come here, for some reasons, their talent never just picks up?
In my humble opinion, I would say obviously the environment is a different environment. The media wants to portray, America or the United States as a bed of roses. You come and the streets are lined with gold. So most of these artists, not even just artists, even the regular folk, they know, oh, if I go to America, I'm going to make it. I'm going to, as soon as I get there, things are going to work out for me. So it's particularly hard for artists because the public has a high expectation of them. Everybody's eyes is trained on them, so they want to know their every move. So when they come here, first of all, there's a complete culture shock. There's a big difference between what they've heard and what's the reality. Obviously, if you want to survive, you gotta get a job, get a 9-to-5. And mostly, it's not going to be what you studied for. Maybe you're a lawyer, maybe you're a teacher. Some careers, they're very compatible. You can come in and transfer and go on with your career. But most of them, the system is different. You have to start from scratch. So that's where the disconnect comes in. So as an artist, you want the same love that you were getting from Kenya when you come here to get the same. You're expecting the same thing. It doesn't happen. It leads to frustrations.
Yes, we've been talking to Master G. Master G is a Kenyan-born artist, promoter based here in the US, in the city of Baltimore. Master G has been involved in organizing some of the biggest events involving the Kenyan community here in the US, and we wanted to talk to him because we really wanted to discuss the whole issue around why Kenyan promoters based abroad prefer to import talent from Kenya when they have talent in the diaspora. And this is the beginning of the conversation, because as the community grows, these are some of the things that we need to face head on, because it doesn't make sense that we have a lot of all these talents here. Yet we have the people that we expect to promote our talent keep on taking us back at home. We all know that we were born in Kenya, we were raised there, we love the country, but now we live here. Things should start happening here, and we would like our promoters to promote the talents within our community, because that way then everybody benefits. Speaking about entertainment, as you know, we are set to officially launch our show, Diaspora Life Show, here in the US, in the state of Delaware. And thereafter, we're going to do a 20-state roadshow where we bring the show to the people, discuss issues that affect Kenyans living here in the US. And these are some of the issues that we are going to be discussing. So it's something that we look forward to. We're very excited about this. We have a lot of people from Kenya interested in this, and we'll bring you more information as we go along. But for now, that does it for our show. This has been the Diaspora Life Show. G wants to add something before we sign off. G, go ahead.
The project that I'm working on right now is called Welcome to Wakanda, W2W, and I'm inviting all artists based in diaspora to take a trip back to Kenya, go there, perform, entertain people, and then come back here and tell them what it is like, so we can change the image that people have of how the diaspora is and how Africa is. So when people come out, like the artists we were talking about, they have a better expectation of what they expect to find when they land in America. And when artists go to Kenya, they know exactly what to expect when they get there. And if anybody's trying to visit Kenya as a tourist or just to go visit, then they can at least have the right expectations and face the reality. So Welcome to Wakanda. It's on Kickstarter. You can also go to my website, www.musicalsafaris.com. One more time, my name is George Gichobi, a.k.a. Master G, and it was nice being on your show, Chris.
And of course, we, as a show, we really support this kind of initiatives that are meant to open up our country, and beyond that, just to open up a conversation between home and abroad, because these are the daily issues that we face. Media
plays a very big role, and if we are on the front line, it is an obligation. Actually, it's like something we've been entrusted on to do. Or if we fail in this role, then we can't blame the population. That's very important. G, please keep us informed on this. Get us more information, and I invite you to come to the show again as soon as it picks up. Viewers, that is our show today. My name is Chris Omala, I'm your host, Diaspora Life Show. This show airs live on Saturdays at 7:40. And of course, you can watch it on Facebook. It also streams live on Facebook. Beyond that, we are on Standard Digital Videos and on YouTube. And of course, you can write to us at standardmedia.co.ke. See you again next week as we bring you more stories from the diaspora.
Are you ready for the Standard Digital Videos Diaspora Live Show official launch and 20 States Roadshow? We will be live in Newark, Delaware on June 6th. On June 13th, we'll be headed to Allentown, Pennsylvania. We'll make our way up north to New Haven, Connecticut on June 20th. On June 27th, we'll be in the Charm City, Baltimore, Maryland. And on the 4th of July, we'll be in Raleigh, North Carolina. So gear up, and for more information, visit all standard digital media platforms. Don't miss out.